No, it is what it is. To
Introduce him, or where did you grow up?
should introduce them.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
I knew that.
We're right around Pond
Wait
Maine.
till I'm all the way.
What's that,
Wait till
Rob?
I'm all the way.
Here, wait till he crosses that cord.
Wait till I'm out all the way.
Okay.
The
Don't
cameras
you,
are-
don't you want to be part of this?
We ready yet?
We're ready. Right round Pond, Maine. Well, the easy does it. We're relaxed and comfortable. Couple of guys in their 60s sitting in rocking chairs. Ready to go. Robert, what was your earliest memory?
Earliest memory one I could think of growing up as a kid was down to Sunday school. I always had Howard Elliott down there. We always had Rossford Pryor. I remember coming in as Santa Claus.
Yep. Good memories.
Remember, all of us kids was always real excited to see Santa Claus. We'd be up on the stage, but I didn't realize till later years, Rossford, he kept sitting in everybody's lap, the women's lap.
On the way up.
On the way up to the stage.
Yeah.
So,
Hearing him pound on the door
Yeah.
coming in the church.
yeah, so it took a while before he got to us.
Yeah. Moving on to the next school years, and did you like school and some of your hobbies?
School years, well, I started off right here at Bristol Consolidated School, just like the rest of us around here. Moved on to Lincoln Academy because they closed the high school down just before we had a chance to go there. And I went to Lincoln Academy for 4 years, and then while I was in Lincoln Academy, I took 2 years of vocational school over to Morse High. Got 2 years of carpentry in over there, so I could build my own house.
Okay. Fun growing up. What did you do for fun growing up?
Oh, jeez. Us kids, we was always in trouble doing something around here. We'd ride our bicycles down to the shore, down to Artel's store, George Martin's, pick up bottles and cans so we could go in and get some penny candy. Oh,
Fawcett's Ice Cream Parlor.
yeah,
Yeah. Eleanor
Yeah.
Fawcett running what they called Granite Hall today. When we were little, it was Fawcett's Ice Cream Parlor.
yes. And we always played baseball in that field across the way there.
Yes. Seems like on Sunday afternoons, our parents and all us kids be gathered up there, right there in the Anchor Infield.
Yeah.
Now it's got cottages in it now, but we had a big backstop there, and a lot of good times and a lot of fun there.
Yeah, I don't remember ever poking any windows out in the Anchor Inn. You know?
Yeah.
That's all of us kids.
I remember my dad playing the outfield out there, and Alfred Hines there. He was like Babe Ruth there, you know?
Yeah.
The Bambino.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was good with kids. He was gifted. Connected with kids very well.
We played a lot of basketball right in the road there at Bobby Foster's.
Yeah, chasing the ball out in the road.
Wasn't the best place to put a basketball hoop.
Hope he didn't get run over chasing the ball.
Yeah, it was always downhill when you lost the ball. And of course, if you couldn't find us there, you know, you and I were always down at the shore.
Yes, best place to be in Round Pond Harbor.
Yeah, I remember Bobby Olson and I. We used to build some carts, I guess you'd call them, go-karts, and we'd make them out of anything you could have, and take them over on Crick Hill and ride them down the hill.
Didn't have an old lobster crate there.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we'd always come back bleeding, scun up for some reason, but we did that till the old ladies over there, they kind of complained on us. Thought we'd get run over by one of them trailer trucks. And then, in the wintertime, we always went skating.
Yep.
on some of these ponds.
Wyman's Pond had the big bonfires out there.
We must have come back Black's Beach, to boot, because remember how many tires we used to burn out
Yes,
there?
and a lot of us kids up there at nighttime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shoveled all day and had a bonfire at night.
Yep.
I think Bobby Foster was one of the first
He was
ones.
like kind of the ringleader there of
Yeah.
getting all of us kids up there.
He had an old, what was it, a skedaddler? Or what the heck was that snowmobile he
Is
had?
that a Skaroo or a Skedaddle? I can't remember.
Yeah. But he'd tow a toboggan up with our shovels and everything on it.
Yep. Yep.
Had a good time.
Did a lot of snowmobiling with him and Paul Cunningham and
Yeah.
2 or 3 others around town. The Burns boys, they were into snowmobiling.
Well, Paul Cunningham and I used to snowmobile right across the harbor.
Yeah.
There was plenty of ice. We just couldn't get on the harbor very good. Yeah, we kind of got caught at that too, so we couldn't do that anymore. But we had a good time. We was never bored as kids.
Nope. Nope.
Never.
Summer jobs.
Summer jobs.
You stayed busy all the time.
Well, you know how we started. We started at 8 or 9 years old with a trap in the water.
Yep. Wooden pot boys, wooden traps, wooden heads. A lot of good memories.
Yeah, I had one grandfather, Sumner McFarland. He built me my first boat. That was a 13.5-foot skiff. And my other grandfather, Stubby Lehman, he gave me 25 old traps. I don't think they would hardly catch a lobster. They're in pretty hard shape. But that's how I started out lobstering.
Yep.
You
You had a 10 horsepower Johnson, didn't you?
I had had 10 horse Johnson, 1957.
He was always a little faster than me. I had the old 53 5.5. So
Yeah. You got ahead of me years later, though. You got more power.
I'm still trying to get ahead of me. He's always 1 or 2 steps ahead of me. Don't let him BS you.
Yeah, that's just what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of mowing lawns and weeding gardens. I used to weed the gardens for the Quimby's up across from where Wallace lived.
Yep, the 2 old ladies.
I remember all them granite blocks and stuff in there.
Yep.
I weeded there for a few weeks until I met a snake. And that was the last of my weeding up there.
What's the best thing about growing up in Round Pond? Your hometown.
I guess it's, we all knew each other. The neighbors looked out for everybody.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, everybody knew everybody.
Yep.
Nowadays, I don't know many people in town.
No, it's a whole different. It's totally different from our era growing up.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was pretty friendly and waved and talked to each other.
Yep.
It's good to be friendly.
It was still old school Maine back then.
Yeah.
With a lot of old school Mainers
Yeah,
that I miss.
certainly do.
Yep.
A lot of the old
We
people
lived in
had
the
that.
golden era of Round Pond.
Yep. It certainly changed.
What did you do after graduating out of Lincoln Academy?
After I graduated, I had my first lobster boat, boat 74.5. I bought over in Cushing,
Yep.
Eddie Vinyl.
Yep. My dad's good friend.
Yeah, they had rode motorcycles together. Probably that's how I found the boat. Probably your father
I
put
believe
me
that
on it.
was. I believe that was because we knew about
It was a
that.
Weber boat, and I think the guy that owned it originally was it Fernando Weber?
Could have been.
He used,
I know Nelson built the boat.
Yeah, he used it 26 foot. He used it to run mail to the islands with. I rebuilt her. Yeah, and winters I worked for John and Stuart Mahan over to the Ireland estate. Did that for a few winters. Then after I got out of there, winters I worked for Norman Kelsey laying bricks, building a few chimneys. Him, Tilson Ugley, Billy Alley. Couldn't pick a better crew.
Wow.
I don't know how we got anything done, much hussing around we did, but good guys to work for.
I bet they were.
Rugged men. Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about your family, your wife, children.
Well, I met Sandy, and we've been married 31 years.
Wow.
Yeah. This year will be 31 years.
Wow.
And we got 2 stepdaughters, Erica and Katie. Katie, she's a physical therapist in Falmouth. Erica lives right here in Newcastle. Got 6 kids. And Katie's got 3 kids, so I got 9 grandchildren. So that's pretty interesting.
Probably spoil them all, too.
Try to.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
You and Sandy both.
Yeah.
Jobs and business.
Jobs and business. Well, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Once I got my Duffy, my 35-foot boat, Steve Chase and I went lobstering, all went along, shrimp trapping. Couldn't have picked a better stern man, really. He got awful good at it. He'd never refuse to come in. I'd beg him to come in. Don't you want to quit? No, we'll haul a few more. Hard to find those kind of guys.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays.
Grew up old school, not crying and whining.
No, he was good because he kept me going.
Yep.
Certainly miss him now.
Served in your community. That's a big one with you. Many things.
Done a few things.
All good.
Well, I hope so. I was in the fire department for 35 years. My first chief was Ken Sawyer, then Ron Pendleton, and the last year Paul Lehman. And you couldn't pick a better bunch of guys that we had in the department back then. Just all eager to help people in the community. Jack Brackett especially. Jack and I tended to be the pump operators most of the time. There was a fire, he'd run a New Harbor truck, I'd run a round pond one. And we always kind of called him Low Pressure Jack. He was so good with the trucks, he didn't want to hurt the trucks. And he didn't want to crank them up. So they was always calling him and trying to get him, we need a little more pressure, Jack. He'd look at me with that grin he had on his face. He'd say, I don't think they need any more pressure, do you?
They were trying to put pressure on low pressure, weren't they?
So they tried to get me to give him more pressure instead of him, but that was pretty good. I don't know. I was one of the first, I guess you'd call them original first responders. We took the first responder class, a whole bunch of us, over in South Bristol, 2 nights a week. Went over there. Harold Abbott and Paul Atweeks put those classes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did that for a few years, but that wasn't really my cup of tea. I did it for a few years. Still helped after that. Then we had a dive team. I was on the dive team, but I never was the diver. I was always the one running the boat. They had to have somebody run the boat, so that was me. Get them rigged up, tow the boat wherever we was going. That didn't last too long. We couldn't keep enough guys into it. I've kind of been a member of the Village Improvement for a while. I don't know how many years. Quite a few years. Just
You
like
40,
you.
must be 40 years or better with that. I was thinking I was around 40 years with it. I go
Well,
all the way back probably to the early 1980s, but
Bill Russell and Carol Lehman were running it, I think, when I joined. They
Yep.
had it quite a while.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I've been harbor master for this coming up 32 years.
Yeah. Well, lucky to have him for a harbor master. He's done a super job.
It's had its moments.
I told him many times I wouldn't take that job if they put a gun to my head.
Good job, I would think, too.
Well,
It's a thankless job.
Yes.
we've had a very good group of harbor committee members, and Stevie Hope's harbor master in New Harbor. And he's got a couple more years than I have on it. He's probably got.
Yeah, he's been around a long time.
And John Stilecki, he's our chairman. And
Yeah.
we get in trouble from time to time, but it seems though we get out of it pretty good.
Yeah.
Just trying to enforce what we can.
Yeah. Chris Gifford was a harbor master for quite a few years
Yeah.
down there too.
Yeah. But
I'm not sure who did it before him. Whether he was the first one there, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Over to Round Pond, Paul Cunningham had it before me.
Yeah. And Bruce had it.
Bruce.
Yeah.
And I wondered if Phil Nichols had it before that.
I'm not sure. I remember, far back as I can remember is Bruce having that when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah.
Yep.
He may have been the first one.
And then Paul, I think, took it over when he got done with it.
Yeah. Everybody asks me, well, how did you become harbor master? Well, I hate to tell the story, but it's true. But I was over in the selectman's office one afternoon after hauling all day, pretty tired. Sun was laying in there about like it is here now. I dozed off just a little bit. Paul Cunningham shook me and woke me up, and he said, "Congratulations." He says, "You got the job."
Yeah.
I wasn't even running for it. But, oh well. Yeah.
Pretty impressive. And you was captain of the fire department for quite a few years too, and yeah.
11 years officially. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd been doing the job for a while before that. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you got basically around 34 or 5 years in the fire department, have you?
35, I think.
Yeah.
And, it was getting so we had a lot of training. But when I first joined, the old fellas taught us that the training was, in-house training.
Yeah.
I had I still do a lot of calls for Louds Island. Been out there to help people ashore, fires. I still take them out for fires. Marsh Island, I've been out there a few nights when it's been right thick fog. A woman that was lost out there one time. Then Olive, she fell and got hurt one night.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you.
Worst of conditions each time, midnight, thick fog. But, we.
Quite a few times you was searching around for people. Yeah.
Yeah, over the years.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like to say that Robert Ball always put people ahead of himself with the fire department and being the harbor master of Round Pond. It's pretty impressive.
Well, I like to help people. If I can help people, that's great.
Yeah, well, you've done a great, wonderful job of that. Like I say, always putting people ahead of himself.
I always think of that story I was telling you about the pine tree school there. I was on the mooring one afternoon. We had a hurricane watch up. We were battening down, getting ready for the storm. This guy rode over to me, and he says, "I'm in desperate need of help." He says, "I've got 30 or 40 kids on the southern end of Louds Island, and our boat's broke down."
Yep.
I said, "Oh, no." I said, "It's already blowing 30 or better. Big seas." "All right, I'll go out." Well, they started swimming out to me.
Oh, wow. You had to pick them all up that way,
The
huh?
skiff, they couldn't get off the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
With their sleeping bags over their head.
Yeah.
I said, no, go back. I said, someone's going to drown. I had them walk up the shore to Peter Helbin.
Mm-hmm.
Loaded them up there.
Was the dog still there then?
Yeah.
It was.
He had the house on
Yeah,
it.
you were lucky to have that.
It was hard laying against it, though.
Yeah. Seas jumping up and down.
Yes, and we got all them kids aboard my boat. Then they wanted me to tow their boat in. 36-foot. Yes, that was a Weber boat, too, wasn't it? That Snow Goose?
Yes, it was. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I towed that in, and all them kids, they sent me an awful nice thank you letter.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty nice of them. But they were in a mess, and I wasn't sure what we was going to be before we got ashore.
Was Kennedy captain of that?
I think
What was his name? Dick Kennedy?
Dick Kennedy, I think.
Yeah. He ran that Camp Kiev. The family still may be running that for all I know, but I did know they ran it for years.
Yeah. Yeah, he went to get his boat and it started going. He couldn't get it going. We'd have thought after we got it into the harbor, we didn't think much about it, but you could have jumped over with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
We got it going.
Did you have a brush with anybody famous?
You?
That might have been in a bad way.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I got thinking about that, and I met Farrah Fawcett up in Waldoboro.
Charlie's Angel, probably the most famous Charlie's Angel he meets.
I didn't know it at the time, but until she introduced herself, but she was taking pictures up in Waldoboro on Route 32 down across them long fields, and she got over just a little too far and got stuck on the edge. I come by and asked if I could help her. She said, well, I need a wrecker, I guess. I said, well, I got a rope in the truck. I said, just nudge her back into the road. She had an SUV. So I nudged her back into the road. She was pretty thankful. And she told me who she was, and I was kind of shocked. She didn't quite look the same in person.
Yeah. Farrah Fawcett, you sure it's like F-O-S-S-E-T-T, Fawcett? You know, like round?
No, I think that was spelled a little bit different.
I think it was spelled different.
And like I say, she was probably the most famous of the Charlie's Angels. I guess you could say that Russ got touched by an angel that day. Yes. Robert, I should say, got touched by an angel.
I always call him Walter Crankcase, but it was Walter Cronkite. I met him down to Sam Belknap's one day. He was interesting to talk to for a minute. Then in a funny way, I met George Bush. He was vice president at the time. And I think he was down to the Ireland estate because they came down there quite regular. But I was over in Bristol Mills, right by the post office, and we had a pole on a fire call, a pole broken off, laying in the road, the wires all down. And these 3 black SUVs come up. I was directing traffic, and I stopped them, and the guy started hollering over to me. So I came over, I stuck my head in the window, and I said, what's the matter? I said, you can't get through, the wire's alive. And he said, you don't understand. I looked in the back seat, and there was these 2 guys with some kind of guns laying across their lap, and there was George Bush on the other side of in the car. And he says, we've got to get through. He says, we're on a time schedule, or there'll be a lot more people here.
Yep.
So he thanked me. And it wasn't any question that we dumped the power in the town of Bristol so he could get through. Well, I guess that's about as famous as it gets for me. But interesting call anyway.
What's the secret to happiness?
Having a good family. Yeah. Good family, community. Got a nice harbor here. You really couldn't pick a better place to live, especially in the time we lived here.
Yep.
Just the people were great. Like, I have to bring up one other guy you'll like it. Harold Lehman.
Oh wow.
I mean,
I wanted to mention him in the interview I did with Scott.
As a kid, he was always giving us hell and chuckling about it.
Yep.
Get your hair cut.
Yep.
Take them damn motorcycles out off Monhegan and dump them.
Yep.
But he was the best guy. He couldn't use you.
Oh yeah, he treated everybody really, really well. Very generous man. One of his sayings I remember the most is he would always say, "What are we going to do to be saved?" He would say.
Yeah, and then he'd laugh.
Yeah.
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 He treated us kids awful good. Yeah.
Finally got his old truck after 30 years. That old 48 Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was in that garage for years.
Yep. Yep.
I used to mow his lawn. I'd mow his lawn, Aggie get me lunch.
Yeah. I started painting his boat when I was like 13, 14, right up until I was probably about 18 years old. And I would never take his money. I liked the old man so, and he'd get ranting and raving at me because I didn't take his money.
Yeah.
And just a great man.
Always gave us money at Halloween instead of candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess we always looked at his pictures he had on the wall.
I know what pictures he's talking about. One of those calendars, you mean?
Yes, there was more than one. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see too much of that anymore from anybody. I don't know if that's
No.
politically correct.
That was an older guy thing.
Yeah, that old generation.
Yeah. I wanted to mention too that my father was the first well driller to drill any wells on Lowndes Island.
Yep.
I kind of forgot about that, but he drilled 3 wells out there, him and Mark. Had a nice picture of him by the schoolhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Tell us something nobody knows about you. This ought to be interested because he's always been on the right side of things. You know, long-time family friend, everybody's friend in Round Pond, Bristol. But he's always been on the right side, so this one to be interesting.
I thought about that question, and it still came up blank. I really couldn't think of anything.
Would that? I could add to that a little bit. The time you and me got on the ledge there at the same time, somebody pulled the plug out of the ocean that day.
I noticed. Yeah.
I called him. I got one trap left to pick up. I got a boatload of traps up there in Greenland, and I thought I was just east of the ledge, so the last trap to take on, and I was just an idle coming up there, and then it just hung up on the ledge. I said, "Oh wow!" So I called Robert up on the radio. I was going to need somebody to haul me off that thing. And he says, the first thing he said is, "Are you stuck?" And come find out when he come up alongside me, he says, "I just got off a ledge myself." He goes, well, there's 2 experienced fishermen for like decades being hung up on a ledge at the same time.
Well, I told you I'd be there as soon as I got off the rock I was on. We had to hurry because the wind was coming hard.
Yes, and I got lucky.
Low green tide, late November.
Once again, he bails me out of a mess.
Yeah, well, we both knew the rocks were there.
Yeah. And we were sober, too, that's the thing.
Yeah. We got you off anyway. Yeah.
What would you like to be remembered for?
I guess just a guy that loves his family, loved the harbor here and the community. That would be pretty nice. Thinking I might have done something to help somebody over the years. Yeah, the picture of the rocks here is we used to have to put ballast in our traps. So we'd go over to Bull's Point and pick up a load of rocks so we could soak up our traps, and we'd take them out and put them into the next ones. It was a lot more work, of course, doing all that. And then I guess you've got some pictures of these wooden traps was the thing we used, the first thing. That was some of the very first traps we used, Frank and I. And they always had the wooden lobster crates. We never had any of this plastic stuff back then. Always had to repair the crates. So, I guess back then we had to use wooden plugs, plug the lobsters. There was no such thing as rubber bands at the time that I can remember.
They kind of outlawed the plugs there.
Yeah, but most fishermen wouldn't have any idea what this is nowadays. But this was something we had in our original traps.
The backhead.
Was the back edge.
Yep.
And the last few years, people wouldn't have any idea what that was. They think it was a plant holder or something. I don't know if it caught any lobsters because we got rid of them soon after, but that's what we used to use.
Crazy.
I've still got a few of them left.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably, I only got 4 probably. Then, did you get a picture of this card, I guess?
Did you get a picture of that card?
Frankie got it.
I took a picture of that.
Yeah, but this was the card that the Pingree School from Massachusetts sent me with. They told me I saved them, so they sent me a card, and all the kids had signed it.
That's excellent.
I had about 30 kids on my boat with all their gear and blowing about 30 miles an hour, towing a boat into the harbor. Boy, they were lucky. I mean,
Sounds like it.
much more wind and they'd have been in trouble. But oh well.
I'm trying to think when we went from wooden crates to the plastic ones. Early 2000s? Seems like we used the wooden crates right up into the early 2000s.
Quite late.
Give or take a couple of years.
Yeah, quite late.
Yep.
Then I got a picture of my first boat.
This one?
Yeah. My first, what I thought was a big lobster boat, 26-foot boat.
Yeah.
I think I was ahead of you then even, you know it?
No, I had my boat before you got that.
I thought you had the Mayflower.
I had the Mayflower, I want to say 2-3 years before you got to that boat.
Jesus,
I got the
I shoulda
Mayflower in
known.
72.
I should have known you were still ahead of me.
And then you got that, what, 74?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had that picture of Dad right at the schoolhouse on Louds Island. He made a little history out there by drilling 3 wells, moving them up in the world.
Any more customers interested in well drilled out there?
I think so, but I don't think they're interested in doing it.
No.
It was pretty hard on the well driller out there. They didn't have any mirrors left.
Yeah, the roads have all grown in out there.
Yeah.
What'd you pay for that boat? You remember? Was that a couple $1,000?
I'm thinking it was right around
I
there.
was thinking east.
Yeah.
Was that like?
Had a international engine. It was the rum and coke.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
I don't know where they got that name from.
I know where they got that name from.
Well, it was running the coke.
They were, Eddie Bill was a good friend of my dad's, and they had quite a few drinks together over the years. Did motorcycling and a lot of family functions. Very good people over there.
Yep. So, that help you, Renee?
That's great. Fantastic.
Good. Well, that's the life and times of Grizzly Ball.
And 20 years from now, you could do a part 2 of it.
I did.
20 years, huh?
Yeah.
20,
Hope we're all here ready to do it again.
88. Well, Dad turned 90. He set the bar too high for me.
Yeah, my father did too.
Oh, those fellas were tough back then. They were.